welcome to the Wednesday wellness program, Health, Wellness, and Lifestyle with Linda Dorman and Dr. Donna Christensen here on the OurTV.network with broadcast live over WSTX Radio, Bloomberg, Android Fire Stick, Amazon Fire Stick, Android, and Roku Tiempo. So we're just glad to be here for another Wellness Wednesday. We have,
Yes.
hi Donna, how are you?
Good afternoon, Linda and audience. It's great to be here.
Great to be
Hope
here.
the power stays on today.
The power will stay on today. We will say this, we're usually on the air for about an hour, but we have a very special broadcast that's coming up right after this from our executive producer who is the special attaché from the U.S. Virgin Island to Taiwan. So he'll give us a great report on that. So stay tuned right after the program. So we're only going to be on the air for a shorter period of time, but we have a very important program to talk about. It's a sensitive subject, but one that we do need to talk about because it's part of the overall women's wellness. And we talk a lot about different topics, but today we're going to talk about, among other things, vaginal wellness, something very important as we think about women in their total health. And we're here with Lana Kerr. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, Lana Kerr. Very
Lana
well.
Kerr, yes.
Okay.
Whom we just learned is Jamaican, but born and raised in Washington, D.C., or somewhere in between.
Born in Maryland and
born in Maryland,
Jamaica.
Exactly. And we're excited to have you here because you are the president, CEO, founder of an amazing organization, amazing company that has developed very critical products that we want to talk about. And we want to talk about the science behind it and the importance of why we should be in conversation with this. But before we do, let me just, Lumisque, am I pronouncing your company name correctly?
Lumisque?
Lumisque. Lumisque, great. Lumisque. Tell us a little bit, Lana, how you got started in this particular field, going from face to vaginal health and everything probably in between.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on today. Yes, I'm very excited and very passionate about talking about this subject because this is, growing up, this is not something that we talked about, and talking to so many women, there's a level of shame around it. But just to kind of get you where we started, Lumisque has a brand called CO2 Lift. CO2 meaning carbon dioxide. CO2 Lift that is used for regenerating skin. CO2 Lift is a carboxytherapy treatment. And just to give you an idea, carboxytherapy is a therapeutic use of CO2 gas to regenerate the tissue. It's something that has a very long history. It started back in the 1100s when you think in Japan, where you think of the samurai warriors would bathe in carbonic hot springs. So those CO2 that would come from those springs would actually heal their wounds very quickly. Then in the 1800s, the French developed another modality or delivery system for carboxytherapy where they would inject the gas into the tissue, into the skin.
Okay.
And that actually did the regeneration very quickly. But again, it's painful, and get it done in a doctor's office. So we went back to Japan because they actually, there's a group of scientists that developed a gel delivery system.
Oh.
So a gel you mix together, it creates CO2, and wherever you put it on the body, it regenerates that tissue. So that's pretty much where we started. We have the exclusive license for that technology, and CO2 Lift was born in 2016.
And so why is this important that we incorporate this kind of treatment into our normal, is it just part of the beauty products, or is it something that is very therapeutic? Like, for instance, do I want it to just take away my wrinkles, or am I also using it because I've got a severe skin condition and this helps to regenerate that? So can you give us a little bit of that, the reason behind why we would use it?
Great question. So technology is always improving. I mean, and being in this industry, things change fast. In fact, more and more people are understanding the benefit of regenerative medicine. So CO2 carboxy would be a part of that category. However, it is a new category in the field of regenerative health. But CO2 is used to treat the skin, and so aging is considered a disease. So wrinkles, so that you would treat that. You're treating the skin barrier. When you use CO2, you're basically when you put CO2 gas into the skin, the body responds by rushing oxygen-rich blood to that area, and that's going to increase the capillaries, and then it's going to release inflammation, and all the nutrition is going to come in. It's going to increase blood flow. So when you think about our
Oh,
skin, you think about aging, you think about eczema, you think about psoriasis, a lot of those conditions, you need to treat the skin barrier, and that's what carboxy does very quickly. In the process of it, one of the things it does and why it's doing it is hydration.
mhm.
When you put CO2 lift on the skin, it increases the hydration 117% after one application. That's a very big factor when you think about aging. I like to say you don't get old, you dry up. So if you think about a raisin and a grape, a grape,
Mhm.
a raisin is just a dehydrated grape.
Right.
We all are born and our skin looks like a grape. It's full, it's plump, and then we start to turn into a raisin. Technology can slow that down. Well, carboxy does it very quickly because if you have the grape already, you can maintain that for a very long time. And if you started into the raisin category, you can reverse it by filling that area with water. So that's a very big part of aging, but also in treating issues like anything with very dry skin, eczema, you think about psoriasis. Physicians use it. We can't say that
I
we
was going to ask
cure
you.
it. We can't say that because we're not a drug.
Oh,
However, many physicians use this for these reasons because again, it's treating the skin barrier.
awesome. So because it's not a drug, you don't need a prescription, I would imagine.
Correct. Correct.
So it's something
Correct.
over the counter that can be bought and applied per the directions. And
Correct.
And can anyone use it? Are there any prohibitions for certain, if you have certain diseases or?
Yeah. Anyone that's alive can use CO2 gas. So it has no side effects then. It's basically, it's a benign product. So you're really just putting the CO2 gas into the skin. When we started, you could only get it from a doctor. So right now we've invested in many clinical studies because again, we were looking at doctors using this and
Mhm.
using it for aesthetic purposes. They're using it in wound healing. You can put the carboxy gel and it can close a non-healing diabetic ulcer in as little as 8 days. So if you think of a diabetic, they're having a problem with circulation. So
Absolutely.
you put the CO2, it's increasing circulation significantly and is able to heal and close that wound. So that's a more of a medical application. But again, you dermatologists treat a lot of patients when they do any kind of surgery, Mohs surgery, removing cancer. They're using it immediately post. Plastic surgeons use it immediately post surgery. But even as a standalone, you can go to your med spa and dermatologist, and they would use it to treat you just as a preparing for any kind of laser or procedure post to help heal very quickly, or just as a standalone to maintain skin health.
But you're the sole distributor for this product in the United
Correct.
States.
Correct. We're the creator of the product, not only in the United States, but worldwide. And we're still a young company. And so we have a big challenge ahead of us. We launched in 2016, and our first year, you were only available in a doctor's office. But now we have another formulation that you can get direct to consumer online. But how do we get into the vaginal? Because that was the original question. So just that was a history of carboxy.
Sure.
So in 2018, I started, and so I was in my late 40s at that time. I started having challenges with intimacy. And when I say challenges, meaning that I wasn't enjoying intercourse in the
yeah.
same way.
Mhm.
And it's something that it's not it was a big thing to me. Talking with my friends, I mean, they're like, Lana, so what? But I'm all about, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to try and do it the best way I can and enjoy it the best way. So I actually spoke with my gynecologist, and she just educated me as to what happens to a woman as we get older. So what
Yes.
happens is that our circulation slows down. So that's why if you look at our pleasure center as a woman,
Mhm.
which is really the clitoris, so and that is, it's more than what people can see on the outside. It's that it's almost as big as a penis,
Yeah.
but it goes underneath, it wraps around the vagina, so it's inside the labia, right in there, and that starts to shrivel because blood flow is what keeps that functioning very well. So as we get older, blood flow slows down. From the time we reach to 25, actually, it starts slowing down. You don't notice it. Many women start noticing things maybe in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's just not the same. Also, our tissue gets thinner, so we can get drier. So many people experience dryness. Some people not so much so, but levels, degrees of dryness. So our sensitivity decreases, our lubrication decreases, which can lead to painful sex. So she just said, well, Lana, it's a part of getting older. Well, so she actually had a device that she was getting into her office, which she said, why don't you sign up for that? And I did, because that it was important to me. But on leaving, it just dawned on me that we have the CO2 lift technology that they're using for the skin, face, neck, and body, because they use it when you do breast surgery to heal.
Mhm.
That we're already using, and it works very much like an energy-based device, because energy-based devices control damage to the skin to elicit a healing response. We're doing that without damaging the skin. So on our advisory board, we had a cosmetic gynecologist. So I just said to him, would this work for this area? And he said, let's try this. Yes, it should. So we did a pilot study, and we did a double blind study, which means that the subjects didn't know what they were using, if they were using the CO2 lift technology or just an ultrasound gel, because it looks very similar.
Mhm.
And then as well as the investigators aren't knowing. And we got really great results. We did a standardized questionnaire for sexual function, which measures, for instance, orgasm, discrimination. And the women that used the ultrasound gel showed no changes in any of it. And you think it's interesting, even in desire, you think placebo would make you think they would feel more, nothing. The women that use the CO2 lift technology showed significant changes in all areas. So then we did biopsies. And when you look at those biopsies of these women, and we used women that had a lot of atrophy. So the women, after 10 treatments, which is simply 2 weeks of treatment, you look at their tissue after, and that was the biopsies were done, taken 10 weeks after, their tissue looked like women in their 30s. So we were very
Interesting.
excited about it. So that's how we eventually did a larger study, which was published, and that was launched in 2020. And currently, we just got another IRB approval for a larger study, which is 60 women, double blind as well, but we added stress incontinence to that indication, which means, many times a woman will cough and will pee. That we added that, and we did it because we're women who have atrophy, that's what they experience, and we have many of our users who have no atrophy. They're not coughing and peeing, and so we added it. And also because, in America, sexual dysfunction is not considered a disease, so a urogynecologist will be more interested in a woman, coughing and not peeing. And so we'll get podium time at those type of meetings, which is what we want.
So with that, because we've had a urogynecologist on our program out of the University of Maryland Medical Center, and it's just a very interesting conversation. You're using the term atrophy. Are you saying that the muscle that's encases the vagina, you're saying that it can become as atrophied as, let's say, our arm, our leg, and therefore it shrinks and shrivels and becomes thin to the point where it can't even function appropriately, which is why we have the leakage, why we have that prolapse if it's more severe. And the urogynecologist is dealing with pelvic floor issues that
Mhm.
includes some kind of remediation that hopefully will mitigate those issues. But at the same time, as an added treatment, your product will help to increase and enhance blood flow, increase and enhance the quality and restoration of that muscle because of the hydration and blood flow and circulation.
Now, is
And
it muscle or is it just the skin, uh, the, the
mhm,
tissue, the
yeah,
skin and tissue underneath the skin?
and tissue
It's blood flow too. It's the carboxytherapy is increasing vasodilation, angiogenesis, neocollagenesis. So it's building back the and the elasticity. One of the more recent studies we did shows that after 6 applications of the CO2 lift gel, it increases elasticity by 26%. Now, nothing does that. I mean, even when you consider radio frequency energy based devices, it takes time for that to happen. We're talking about double digit 26% after a painless gel. So that can be done in the privacy of their home. So yes, we work with a lot of urogynecologists, and now apparently there's another procedure that is more current, that they're using threads and PRP to help women with stress incontinence. But certainly using this has helped women. We don't like to say it's solving, and we don't like to say it's curing anything. We can't say that, we're not a drug, but we have been getting a lot of great stories from patients who are using it, which is, we're talking about atrophy, the symptoms of, GSM, which is, we're talking about sexual dysfunction, but that's one of the side effects that people have, is the fact that they're peeing and not coughing, because again, we're building back that whole area.
And so I have a question also. So once you start the treatments and you have improvement and you have remarkable improvement to the level that you're satisfied, is this something that you have to continue for the rest of your life, or have you improved it enough that you're rehabilitated?
Great question.
Mhm.
So we like maintenance. So what we've found is that, for instance, a woman who has severe symptoms, she may need 10 treatments, like what was done in the study, the 10 treatments. So five, night after night, and then you can take a break on the weekend and do another five, and then she feels better. I like to say that she needs to maintain that with a monthly, just one treatment.
Mm,
However, for women who don't do that, what we find is that they need to repeat another set of treatment within 8 to 12 months.
mm,
They may not need 10, they may
Okay.
need a five. But if you maintain it, then you're going to find, because we're constantly aging. It's like in anything else. You go into the gym, you build back your muscle, if you stop going, eventually you go back to where you started. And it's the same thing for really our aging. We're aging every day. So yeah, we like the maintenance. It's easier to do that, and you keep that state, of you keep that, the symptoms that you've relieved. You keep at that state by doing that monthly.
and I think this is so important. Donna, you were going to say
No,
something?
I was going to say, I've looked at the video with the face, and it creates a mask that you
Yes.
then peel off. And that's the same process
Yes.
vaginally.
It's the same process. So it's the difference is a formulation, is a pH, because that's important for women. The pH is about 4.5 for the V. And also it has a little slightly different, it has Japanese mugwort in there that's great for helping with inflammation and stuff like that. But yes, it does form like a plug inside of the vagina. So you put it in similar to a tampon. So you mix it, you put it in similar to a tampon with the applicator provided. And then the last third, you put on the vulva to the perineum, and you can just leave it on for 45 minutes. I like to go to bed, that's what, because all of us sleep. So you put it on, keep it on overnight, and when you get up in the morning, you pee, it comes out. So it forms that plug inside, like a vaginal mask, so to speak. And
Mhm.
then it just comes out when you pee. You can actually put a little water, it will melt it again, and it will come out. But it will come out, it will follow. But even if all of it doesn't, so some women will say, oh, it doesn't come out, it doesn't hurt, it's benign, so it's not going to harm you, but it will come out.
Yeah, you did make a side comment about not the urogynecologist, but not people don't pay attention to sexual health. But as a family physician, it was a major part of my practice, to the extent where I thought about going for extra training in managing sexual health and sexual dysfunctions and so forth. I never did, but couldn't find the time to do that. But it's an issue that many people face, men and women.
I love that you were even considering it. Just being in this, I mean, I find that a lot of physicians are changing the way, gynecologists, even when we started, most, they look at the vagina delivering babies. They didn't, even when I think about when I had my children, and my youngest is, how old is he? 20. No one talked to me about the changes that would happen vaginally, after birth, that would affect and impact intimacy and relationship with my husband. In fact, I remember after my first child, the 6 week mark came, and I asked her to just write another note, make it another 6 weeks, but because I just didn't want to get back into that. And then of course I breastfed, and you just don't feel the same. And one of the things and that's a big impact on your relationship. If there was such a thing like the CO2 lift, the complications that arose in my marriage because of those things would have been avoided. Because first of all, when by using it, and gynecologists recommend you use it immediately after, it brings down the inflammation, the swelling that happens, and you kind of reconnect with that part of you. So I would have gotten back into that faster. Also, breastfeeding causes dryness, so it's not as enjoyable. This would have prevented it. So, but the point is that no one spoke to me about it. She didn't say, Lana, you're going to experience this. You're going to experience this. Even if there was no solution, at least I would know that it's a problem that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think more and more physicians are understanding the importance of that, like you were saying, and are interested in communicating that information to their patients, which I think is important. But even more so with perimenopause, menopause, the challenges that women face, we need to talk more about it because it's normal, but it can be solved. So that's really what I'm really been passionate about, helping women to understand that we get older, we have more other financially, we're more, we have more time, our children are older. Why is it that part of us is not as can't be as enjoyable like when we're younger?
And we're going to have to do a part 2 because we have such a special program in addition to this one coming up right next after our program segment. We usually have an hour, and we need to bring you back because we need to connect the dots, and the connect the dots would be to that mental health, answering the question you just asked. Connect the dots to those women who need to restore and have been assaulted in this area of their lives as victims of sexual assault, and how to support them back into appreciating and enjoying a full sexual life and not be re-victimized, because this is an important part of their physical makeup. It's a human aspect and something that we should talk about. We've had a practitioner on who talked to us about erectile dysfunction, and not from a performance issue, but really from a cardiovascular issue for the same exact reasons: atrophy, blood flow, circulation issues, and what that could say about your health and wellness in the future. And I would suggest that I love your statement on your website. We want to make sure we get that in. So 2 questions that we're going to end up with is you don't age, you dry out. I love that. That's great. Tell us, how would we access the program, the products? How would someone be able to make the purchase?
Thank you so much for that question again. Well, first of all, you can go to your dermatologist, your local professional, and ask them. But if not, you can go direct to the website, co2lift.com, and they can purchase the CO2 Lift V or the CO2 Lift for their face and their body.
Outstanding. Well, my goodness gracious, we don't have to come back because I think I'd like to have some lift. I think I would love to do that, among other things.
And because it's CO2, there's no allergy issues or anything like that, correct?
No.
That's a great science. Who would have known? We're so proud of you for bringing this forward to the market and really having that global distribution, and just really having the foresight to work with and create these natural products. Lana, Kerr, we appreciate you, and we look forward to bringing you back onto the Health, Wellness, and Lifestyle program with Linda Dorman and Dr. Donna Christensen. We hope you all enjoyed our program. Stay tuned and stick with the program today. And we look forward to talking with you soon about this health product. And
so much, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
By the way, congratulations on getting your own program here on the network. We look forward to interesting topics coming forth as you launch. On which day are you launching?
August 8th, and it's touchy topics.
Touchy topics. Okay, we look forward to it. Listen, have a great afternoon. And this has been the Health, Wellness, and Lifestyle with Linda Dorman and Dr. Donna Christensen.
Thank you,
Lana.
Thank you
so much.